And
This
if I can't,
conference will now be recorded.
Too.
welcome everybody. Just want to start out that I am in a hotel room. That Wi-Fi does not work. We are like dial-up, maybe if we're lucky. So I am conducting the group tonight via my cell phone on my cellular data because Wi-Fi is not available. So anyway, bear with me, and I'm also super tired. So we're gonna go ahead and get this party started. I am Kim. I'm usually in Iowa, but tonight I'm in Minnesota. Currently on Ocrevus, diagnosed in 2012, and I am relapsing remitting. Jen, go ahead and start us off, please, and let us know if you need any time to talk tonight.
I'm Jennifer. I'm from Michigan. I have secondary progressive MS. I am currently taking Rituxan. And yeah, sure, I would like a little time tonight.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jen. Andrea, welcome. Introduce yourself, please, and let us know if you need time.
My name is Andrea. I live on the North Carolina Outer Banks. I have secondary progressive MS. I was diagnosed in 2011. And yes, I'd like some time.
Okay, great. Thank you, Andrea. Marlo, welcome. Please let us know if you need
Hi,
time tonight.
Marlow, Michigan, Sterling Heights, Michigan, diagnosed in April of 22, currently on dimethyl fumarate, and I do not need time.
Okay, thank you, Marlo. And Marie, welcome. Introduce yourself and let us know if you need time tonight.
Hi, I'm Marie from New Jersey. I have progressive relapsing. I'm on Ocrevus, and no, I don't need time today.
Okay, thank you, Marie. And last but not least so far, Karen. Welcome. Introduce yourself and let us know if you need time tonight.
I'm so tired. Someone else can introduce me. And I only have good things to report. So if there's time, but if there isn't, it's fine too.
Okay,
How about that?
that
Karen
sounds great.
is from
Snoring. I
Oakland,
hope I am.
California.
Okay, Jen introduced you. Thank you so much. And then I just want to let everyone know too that if someone new comes in and I don't see them because I'm on my phone, I only can see how many some people, please let me know or ask them to introduce themselves if we have a break. I appreciate it. Okay, Andrea, let's go ahead and start out with you. What do you want to talk about tonight, girl?
So I had a neurology appointment on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And he used the word secondary progressive, and like this gremlin says, it's just a word.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've known this in the back of my head for a while. And it's just a word. But it's messing with my head. And I just can't get it to stop spinning. Just the words spinning.
It's not just a word because I heard you say it and I thought, has she ever said that before?
Nope.
Yeah, it's not just a word. It makes me want to cry.
And I just started Ocrevus last month. So, doc says, well, you're on the right meds. And he has prescribed Ampyra, and that's going through all the insurance rigmarole right now. So we'll see if that may or may not do anything at all for me. And I don't know. I just feel like, thank God, I've been poking myself all the time and taking meds that make me feel like crap. And I don't know. Maybe it's just back to lack of acceptance. I don't know.
Well, it's definitely throw anytime you have a big change like that, whether it's a change in symptoms or like a change in like a word, as you said, that's gonna throw you, that takes you off your balance, off your normal, and it's gonna throw you back into grieving. That sounds completely normal to me. And you have to work through that, which is tough and it sucks. But thankfully you have people in this group that know exactly what you're going through, which is amazing.
I've been looking forward to group this week for sure.
And Andrea, I don't in any way intend to belittle. That's not what I'm saying. I'm very sorry because that was a bitter pill for me to swallow. And so I'm with you. I get you. And you're like your doctor said, you're on the best medication. And I was at a program at 6 o'clock tonight, where they talked about Ampyra, however, um, that it is expensive, but if you're having trouble with your getting it, that Mark Cuban has it on his website for like, I think it was like $13 a month. So if that gives any consolation, because everything is so stinking expensive with this disease, that
But
that
there's generic, because I get generic. It used to be like $3,500 a month or something absurd, but now I get generic dalfampridine. It's not
okay.
expensive. Maybe it's like $48 a month, but my insurance covers it, so it's not outrageous.
So why does it have to go through the specialty pharmacy?
Because
If
Because
it's
maybe they're
only
not
a
generic.
because only a small tiny part of the population is on it, and it's expensive because you not only have MS, but people that are having mobility issues is on it. So that's why an average pharmacy is not going to carry it, especially if it's expensive and that specialized. That's why.
Okay.
But
Okay.
there's generic, because I've had more than one generic company that got filled. So, ever since I went generic, it wasn't expensive at all, really. I get a 3 month supply, and I had to pay like half of $12. I'm like, I can do that. I think I had to pay $12 for a 3 month supply with my insurance. So, you might just have to fight, or fiddle and say, well, I don't have to have Ampyra. It could be dalfampridine. I didn't notice a change. There are some meds I've taken where I go, huh, but I really don't notice a change.
I'm not really worried about my insurance company saying no, you can't be on it, because I feel like my neurologist will convince them, but it still just irritates the living crap out of me that they have a say
Mm-hmm.
in
Exactly.
the matter whatsoever. It's none of their business.
Are you on Medicare, Andrea, or not?
No.
You're not. So then, again, it depends on the formulary of your own. But I think the advice that Karen's giving you, um, and about and others about the generic
Yeah.
is really important. But I have a question I really want to ask Jen and maybe anyone else who Jen, I know you're secondary progressive. Is anyone else in here classified as secondary progressive?
No, but I'm primary.
No, I have where I'm going is, Jen, when you were diagnosed or re-diagnosed as secondary progressive, how did you deal with that, and what can you suggest to Andrea to help her accept this diagnosis? What words of comfort or support do you have on that?
When I was, Andrea, I was diagnosed in 97, and 5 years after I was diagnosed, that's when they reclassified me. And there was only one drug that you could take, and that's not even on the market anymore. Like, I maxed out at that. And then there was nothing until my neurologist tried an off-label drug. But now that, look at how many, I mean, there's a couple, 3 drugs for secondary progressive. So that's at least encouraging. For me, I started falling, and that's when I couldn't walk. I mean, it was just not good. And that's how doctor said, it's a long story, but how exactly, like, why did your neurologist change your classification, if you don't mind?
I moved to the beach in 2020, in March of 2020, like literally 2 weeks before they closed down the bridges for COVID. And I took my dog to the beach all the time. And I mean, it was almost a magical time for me. It was really nice. No, the beaches were really, quiet. Not very
Yeah.
many people out there because of COVID. But I live 2 blocks from the beach, and I have trouble walking to the beach.
Yeah.
And I didn't 2 years ago.
I'm so sorry. My heart hurts for you. But they, I have so much hope, and I hope you have hope.
Not
Yeah.
really. I live alone. I have to take care of my dog. I can barely clean my house. I get tired taking a shower.
Yeah.
My body hurts all the time.
It's not just a word.
Are you ready to take some steps to help with your fatigue and the other issues?
What steps?
For example, you said you were tired in the shower. Do you have a shower chair that you can use?
Yes, I do.
Great. It's good to hear.
And
I know
shower
that
bars. And shower bars.
Yep.
And do you have something, Andrea, like a, like a, I don't want to say a chair over the toilet, but you all use really little toilets. And that was the hard one for me, was getting up from the toilet. That's where I started having trouble. And so I got like arms around the toilet. That helped me a lot, as well as the shower chair.
Jen, do you use a riser too?
Mm-hmm. And
And your
I have
risers are really good.
I have a roll-in shower. I have a friend that said, Jen, don't you stand in the shower? I'm like, Amy, honey, I don't stand ever. So no, I use a shower chair. Um, and Andrea, I I hope that there are some community resources that can certainly, if there's any, if you want to reach out to the society, if Frank was here, he would tell you to do that, to like call a patient navigator with the MS Society and see if they have anything in your area where they can help you with maybe some respite care, or somebody that can help with your dog at least and cleaning your house. Just those activities of daily living.
And I hate to bring this up, and I was horrified when I had to deal with that because I love walking. I grew up in New York, and you walk. I just saw walk into old age, and I just couldn't walk. And I was horrified when I got a walker, and I didn't use it all the time. And now it's like, don't touch my walker. That's my walker. That's a part of my life. That's a part of who I am. And I had a dog, and I would walk my dog with the walker, but as much as I didn't want to get a walker, it helped until it didn't anymore, but it did. Well, I mean, I use it, but I mean, I was able to walk a mile or even 2 miles with a walker when I was getting was hard to walk. So
I'm 10 years from retirement, Social Security wise. And my dream was to retire on the beach.
Are you working full time, Andrea, or part time? You are. So, the other issue that you have to that you might want to consider is applying for SSDI, excuse me.
disability,
Um,
federal disability.
what Social
Am I
Security
disabled
disability?
enough for that? I can still walk 25 yards.
Well, wait, whoa,
It's
wait a
it's
minute.
it's
Wait a
based on
minute.
if you can work full time, if you can work 40 hours
Right,
a week. If you can
right,
work 40 hours a week, then no. If you can't, then yes.
right. And I mean,
When
I was,
Go ahead,
I,
Marie.
go ahead,
when
Marie.
I was diagnosed, I had to go. I was working full time, and I had to on disability because I couldn't do all the things I used to, and it seems to progress. Unfortunately, MS is like that. It just progresses.
So
It took me
it's
for a little bit.
exactly what Kim just said. I mean, it's evaluated on how much of your regular work you can do, and if you're stressed to put in full time work, then you have a claim to get SSDI. Now, SSDI is different from SSI. SSI is when they provide financial assistance. SSDI means getting your Medicare and your social benefits earlier than you otherwise would have done, and they're based on you retiring at 65. That's how they calculate them, because as you know, you can retire earlier and you get a little less. You can wait, you can get a little more, but you can get it at 65. I got my SSDI when I was about 59, 58 or 59, I think, because I was on hormone therapy that really knocked me for six, and I couldn't. That's an English expression. Sorry about that. That really took it. It really took me out, and I couldn't work. And I got it and stayed on it. Um, but it's certainly something to consider because along with it comes other benefits from being on Medicare. Um, so
But
just
it takes
say,
time to adjust to that idea. I remember when Christy came, she said, I have to work, and it's just, I'm still holding the emotional space for you, Andrea, of wait a minute, I'm 10 years from retirement, and we're kind of all going, I don't think you're going to make it 10 years. But it's the shock of like, what? Because I got diagnosed with primary progressive, and I didn't have all that. I didn't get diagnosed until I drained a lot of my bank account because I couldn't. I just felt like I couldn't work. There's something wrong with me. Oh, I got a mental health problem. I just can't do it. So I didn't even get the benefit of doing that. But it's really just the emotional because I know Rick, you said, oh well, I got diagnosed with primary progressive. I came home and this is what I heard, that I had permanent progressive. And it really is. Instead of secondary, it's permanent. It's a permanent progressive, whether you're primary or secondary. And this is what this disease does. But when Rick said, well, what have you done to cope? And I'll tell you, the big D, denial. Well, at least I could still walk 25 feet. Well, at least I could still X, Y, and Z. It does help to cope. But I think you're holding now like, holy shit, this is horrible.
Yep.
And Andrea, we've talked a bajillion times, but I don't know what you do for a living, but is there a potential that if you wanted to stay working, could you work remote? Could you work from home?
I
Or do
do.
you,
I do work remotely. That's
okay.
what allowed me to move to the beach. I mean, basically, to live on the beach, you've got to do water sports, fishing, restaurants, or realty.
Okay.
Um, and honestly, like, I don't know how I still have a job. I know how I have a job. I've had the same job for 12 years and I haven't gotten a pay increase. That's how I still have a job. But I don't honestly work that hard. Like, I don't work hard enough to feel like I have a leg to stand on to ask for a raise. Um,
Yeah, and that has to do with MS because I had the same issue for a long time. I was just, well, I don't work that hard, and well, at least and I had no idea, not even an inkling that I had MS. But yeah, you do what you can to cope, and then you just,
And I'm not being rude, I'm just writing things down. So,
no, I don't think you're being rude at all.
okay. But no, it's a really hard conversation. Do you have somebody like HR that you can talk with at your job about these concerns of yours?
I mean, it's a big corporate company, it's on the stock market. I run their disability impact group, an employee impact group. I run that group, but I talk about my brother who was born with cerebral palsy. I talk about my car accident over 20 years ago that put me in a wheelchair and how I fought to get out of that wheelchair. And um, I do not say I have multiple sclerosis.
how do you
I
feel about that?
um, there are a handful of people that I have told, but it's how do I feel like I live a double life in a way. I make excuses for why I'm out of the office. I make excuses for why I forget things or why I have trouble with certain things. but I do work from home, so I can lay down in the middle of the day and get away with stuff.
Do you worry that if you disclose that you have MS, your job will be impacted?
Legally, no.
Okay.
Emotionally, yes.
Okay. I just
And
wonder if,
I've even thought about, like, I need to do something different. I've been doing this BS job for 12 years now, but I couldn't handle a new job. I could not concentrate long enough to learn a new job. I just don't think I'd be able to do it. I do the bare minimum in the job I've been doing for 12 years, only because it's like I know it like the back of my hand. Oh, what's that? Oh.
Do you think your job is contributing to the problem or helping the problem, helping you?
It gives me a paycheck, which allows me to pay my bills. So in that, and I get my medical insurance through them. Um, I think I use it as an excuse sometimes not to take a walk and not to do my exercises and stuff like that. I think there's pluses and minuses. It is a remote job, so it's not like I interact. We don't, we're kind of, a lot of people work remotely and probably like me, they work in t-shirts. And so we're not, I don't even see them on camera like I see you guys. It's very, very rare, if ever, that we go on camera. So it's not like I'm losing that much social. I feel like I could maybe find more social activities if I wasn't sitting at home alone, not walking, not doing anything but watching my email so that everybody thinks I'm doing work. And I'm saying this on recording. I hope nobody from my company recognizes me.
Well, even if they did, you're not faking something. You have this disease and it's impacting how you function. And if you don't work in this world, people think you're useless. But, it's just, I think the practical things, like Kim said or Rick, I didn't know that you would. I know when your Social Security statement, it says if you were to go on disability, this is how much you would get. The only, even though we're like, hey, you don't have to go to work anymore. But I think Medicare doesn't kick in for like a year or 2 years after you go on that. Do you know that, Rick?
Yeah. So it's usually it was, because this changes from time to time, but it was 28 months. But it's 28 months from the time that you're declared disabled, and you
I had
can
6 months.
you had to wait 6 months. Is that right, Marie?
Mhm.
So it, you can predate your date of disability. So you may be able to predate your date of disability when you go on, so you don't have to wait that long. In my case, I only had to wait like 3 or 4 months, like Marie, but some people have to wait the full 28 months. So it all depends. In your case, probably like Marie, similar situation. The MS was already there. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what Marie did, um, but in my case, it was worth my while hiring an attorney, a disability attorney, because they really know their stuff. It can be tricky. They don't get that much money. Most of the time, you can backdate your benefits. So they take something out of what they backdated. So you still get a healthy sum of money. And so if I can give advice on this one because it's not medical. My advice would be to involve a disability attorney. Triage Cancer, that you may well be familiar with from your work, but Triage are amazing, and they're a fantastic resource, and they could probably help find you a disability lawyer in your an SSDI lawyer in North Carolina to talk to. They could probably recommend. I'll put Triage. Are you familiar with Triage Cancer, Andrea?
I'm not,
Okay.
but wouldn't the National MS Society have those types of resources as well?
They would, but I also think that Triage Cancer it's they're not just cancer. They're kind of like us. They started in that field and they went further out. So Triage Cancer are really a good resource. And by the way, and it's good this goes on the recording. We're doing a webinar with Triage Cancer um, at the end of October, before the you have to elect your Medicare for the following year, and we're going to be talking um, about Medicare, about elections. We're going to have Triage on, and we're also going to have a broker on who's very familiar with Medicare. That doesn't necessarily help you, Andrea, but it does help a lot of people who might be listening, and we'll be publicizing that over the next couple of weeks. But Triage
I
Cancer
have
is
to. You have to send me the link to. I'm starting Medicare next month, November.
okay.
But
Okay.
how long, Andrea, how long have you been diagnosed? Like some, like I didn't even have a diagnosis. So I just had to work part time. I had symptoms since I was 50, but it didn't even occur to me that I had MS. I didn't know what it was. But,
I
and
was
you said, oh,
diagnosed with relapsing MS in 2011.
so you've had this disease for a long time and you're a little worried, like, oh, I wonder if somebody if some, I'm on the recording and it's like here I am laying on I can't move, I just have to lay here, that you've had symptoms and you just confessed on the recording that I hardly could do, this is you've had, I didn't know that thing about what Rick said, but that's really helpful to know, and you might not even need a lawyer, but I do know that
I've heard that
50%,
advice before.
but 50, I know that 50, like 50% of disability claims are denied. And then when you get a lawyer, like 50% win it. And it's like sometimes you have to just go back another time and another time, but you might not even have to do that.
So, can I apply for Social Security while I still have a job?
Well, you have to get the doctor to say,
Those are questions too that you could maybe talk to an MS navigator that they can
Yeah.
yeah.
help you.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think you could apply for disability unless you're not able to work full time,
Right.
because
Right.
you're technically not disabled if you can work full time. It's all government thing. And I would I got on disability. I highly recommend you get a lawyer. They take up to, I think it's up to 25% or up to 6,000 of your back pay only. They will
Right.
not touch any of your future pay. And when I talked to my lawyer, he's like, "You're gonna get denied. You're gonna get denied. Hang in there. You're gonna have to go to a judge and hang in there with me, okay?" And so, and when I had my hearing with the judge, and this was November 2020, so it was all video, phone call conferencing, everyone in their respective homes. I was really glad I had my lawyer because I was having massive cognitive issues that day because that's my deal, and I was, nervous and couldn't sleep. And the first questions the judge was asking the lawyer, I didn't understand what he was asking. You know what I'm saying? And so that was a recommendation given to me. Get a lawyer worth every penny, and I am passing on that recommendation to you. And the reason I asked that question, Andrea, is I was curious because you were talking about struggling with being able to do, housework and everything like that. And I was wondering if your current job is overextending your energy, because we all have very limited energy with MS. And if you're getting to like where it's just too much, where
The
everything is just
shower. Yeah, I
too
mean, if
much.
you can't comfortably take a shower, I can't take a shower easily. It's,
Yeah,
I think
I
we really tend to minimize what this is doing to us.
So I
I
get
know.
really, really busy right around the fall every year. It's open enrollment. So this is when I start to get tired all the time
Mhm,
because
mhm.
we do human resource outsourcing. So we take enrollments. And once that's all done, like the rest of the year is a breeze. It's just kind of August to November, December that's rough.
So do you think you can hang in there for the 3 months of the awfulness busyness? Or, I mean, that's good things for you to think about.
Yeah. But
And
if
it's a
I
good time, and it's a good time to say, I can't do this. You know, you don't have to volunteer. It's just a busy time of year. It's like, I can't do this. I'm overwhelmed. I can't do it.
Yeah.
But you're getting to a spot like where I was, where I potentially was not functioning enough to be able to do my job properly, it could potentially harm somebody. I had to step away and say, that's it. And that was, I mean, you were talking about your dream was to retire on the beach. I still think you can do that. It's just going to look a little different. That's all. It's just tweaking.
I won't be strolling along the shoreline picking up shells and
No,
running
but you
my
but you
dog.
can be out there looking at the beautiful ocean. I can't do that from my backyard. I don't have that choice. I'd have to go thousands of miles to get to the shore. So that you still can enjoy it, and you can enjoy it in amazing ways. And I did want to say to you, even though you know this, Andrea, I will still say this just to put it out there. No matter what you lose with MS, you are still going to be that amazing kick ass person you are. That will never change. And I will argue will be even more kick ass and amazing, because you will have developed your resiliency and you become a stronger, your more authentic self. And you're like, I don't have to deal with this anymore, and I can be this because this is what I'm dealing with. So I
Amen.
want you to remember that during all this struggle and all your frustration and all the grief, that you are still an amazing kick-ass person, and that will never change. Ever, ever, ever.
Hasn't killed me yet.
Yes.
That's right.
So,
And it ain't going to. Can I just welcome A to the group? I know you came in, and I'm not sure that Miss Kim can see you tonight because she's working off of her phone, but we do want to recognize that you're there and say hello. I know sometimes you don't, my memory serves me right, you don't always like to say anything, but we see you there, and please use the chat window and speak up if you'd like to say something.
And I know I've taken up a lot of time, so thank you all.
It's
I
okay.
appreciate it.
that's
We've
important.
all been
It's an important thing to talk about, and just reflect. When you go through a big change like that, that's a whole new mindset that you have to get adjusted to and you have to get comfortable with. Whether you
there.
like it or not, you got to get comfortable with it. And
Choice.
and that's just what you have to do. And I think it's important. I think it's great that you're able to come here and be open and go, hey, this is what I'm struggling with right now, and this is really tough for me. I think that's amazing for you to come to the group and be vulnerable. And I think that helps everyone out here. And it's just shows you being your authentic self is the most powerful thing you can do for the group. And I really thank you for it, Andrea.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I,
Amen. And Kim,
I
Kim
I'd like
never
to just
fails to remind you Me. She never fails to remind me, and she's reminding you, have you grieved this yet? No, you haven't. So of course you're in here crying. You know, it's every time you lose something, there's a, there's a wonderful opportunity to keep grieving.
A wonderful
Okay,
up.
and Miss Kim, put in the chat because I don't know if you can see the chat window. Can you see
Yeah,
the chat?
I can see it. It'll let me know when someone's out. Yeah, she said or he said that they didn't want to speak, so that's cool. Put anything in the chat box you like, so that's awesome.
And I just want to put a name in the chat window for you that came across my radar yesterday, and I just I was remarkably impressed. So yesterday was a major Jewish holiday, the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, and there's a part of that service when we remember those who have gone before us, remember the dead, and the rabbi gave a sermon before he started it. And he told about a couple of years ago when he was in the parking lot of the synagogue after services, I think on a Saturday, and a red truck pulled up, and there was a woman and two other people in the red truck. And this woman he got into conversation with her, and her name was EC Stilson. And I'll put that in there. She also goes by Elisabeth Hirsch. And she is she's a young woman, I think in her 30s. She's got four kids. She's an author, she's a writer, she's a musician, a violinist. And 2 years ago, they gave her 2 years to live with metastatic melanoma, skin cancer. And she had written before and she continues to write. She's written at least one or two books since then, including her most recent one where she talks about the meeting with Rabbi Avi. And I even watched a couple of her recordings. I mean, she's an inspiration. And she's been living, she's outlived her prognosis. She's probably going to outlive it a heck of a lot longer. And, you see these people, and I run across them from time to time, and people that in our support groups. But I mean, they are, what can I say? They're an inspiration, is what I can say. So check out EC Stilson, Stilson, and see if she gives you the same sort of zip that she gave me yesterday. I actually have it on my to-do list to send a note to the rabbi because I was so impressed with this sermon. So there you go. Aye, aye, and Miss Karen's on the move. Watch out.
Well, I had my little sort of nap.
Okay.
Still wearing white
Okay.
from yesterday.
Oh yeah, good for you. Okay.
Okay, anything else anyone wants to say before we go to Jennifer?
Just thank you, Andrea, for trusting us and being vulnerable. And
Thank you for being there.
That's what we do.
That's what we're best at.
napping. We're really good at napping.
We're good at laying down and resting. Absolutely. I'm a pro at this.
Mm.
Okay. Jen, take the floor, please.
I don't really think I have much to say, especially now, Andrea. I mean, it's just the rub, and I don't want to. I yeah,
Oh,
just
please, I can handle a distraction.
it's just it never gets easier. Like you sometimes, I don't know if it's like this for anybody else, where it's like you're doing the best you can, and sometimes you just it's annoying. Just yeah, I'm doing the best I can. And just a number of people that think you're. See, I don't want to poop on your parade right now, Andrea,
You're
because
not. You're not. No, please.
this is
Okay.
my experience, but nothing I hate more than people acting like I can't do stuff for myself. You know, I'm a grown up and just yeah, and so I hope to God you don't go through that. I hope none of us go through that. But it's a rub. Like there's a fine line between asking for help and then when people overstep and you're just like, okay, but I can still do stuff. And Dan, I love very much, and he knows this. But like, we will go to my parents sometimes, and if I'm struggling, he won't step in just to help me because he knows that I hate that. And my dad will like step in to help me, and so that is one of those things. I think today I was a little crabby patty about it, and then I hear you talking, and I'm like, that just took me right back to where, like, you're just gonna go through some just like, and Andrea, it's been goodness, 20 years since I was told that I had secondary progressive, but I still have those days where I just wake up and I just am like on the edge of tears for absolutely no reason other than, or I wake up and I'm like, God, I wish I could walk. Like I wish I could walk. And so, and I know I'm not alone in that, but in that moment you're like the most alone where you're just like, so I
And
guess
don't let me talk and discourage you from having your
mhm,
own, even no matter how little. Like everything matters.
yeah, it does, but I just
Do you want me to say something positive first before you launch into your stuff, Jen? You want me to
I
uplift a little bit, or?
I have nothing negative. Yesterday was Dan's birthday. We celebrated our anniversary. You know, for God's sakes, I was in a wheelchair and I met a man that said, okay, I want to marry that woman and take care of her. So I guess I like to say that not to be all negative, but just, I hate that just when people act like you can't do things. Or when they see me in my wheelchair and they talk to him or they talk to my caregiver, like, does she want this? What does
Mm.
she want? And it's like, I'm sitting
I'm right
right
here.
here. Yeah. Hello, a college educated 48-year-old woman. I know what I'm doing. But that's neither here nor there. So I'm done, Kim. That was all. Just the
Oh,
frustrations.
okay. Well, I'm
I'm
just
looking at
gonna.
I'm looking at Marie's walker, and I'm like, see, we're the walker people. It just, but it's just, and I see how it repels people at my synagogue. Like, oh my God, she's got a walker, and I'm really claiming that more. Just it just frightens everybody. Go sit in the wheelchair section. I don't have a wheelchair, but and I get it already, Jennifer. I get that. I asked for a parking pass again for the second year in a row. There's a garage. Can I use the parking garage? And so instead, I get this wrong thing. I got 3 pages of information about how to get to the place from my house, highlighted with all the times of the services. It's like, thank you, Jennifer. I've been to this Berkeley, hundreds of times. I know how to get from my house to where I need to go, but you didn't give me the right parking pass. This is just a park. I could park on a meter. It's just so frustrating, and you constantly have to, you
It
know,
is. And
yeah.
we spoke at Central yesterday. Yeah. And one of the students asked a question, what would you want anybody to know about multiple sclerosis? And I said, And I was point blank honest. I said, I'm in a wheelchair. Disability freaks people out. And I would just like people to be more comfortable. I know that disability is not attractive, but there are ugly people walking on the earth all the time, and we don't turn away from them. Just because it makes you uncomfortable that I'm in a wheelchair, don't treat me any different.
Oh
And
my God, I
so,
want to put that on a t-shirt. There
yeah,
are ugly people walking around this earth everywhere.
they are, and you know it, and they're ugly, emotional, and I'm not talking just like physical. I mean, I'm overweight. Some people that's horrendously ugly, but I'm in a wheelchair, and I don't want you to just treat me like I'm a stay away kind of thing. And so, God, I'm really talkative tonight, Kim. It's like I did steroids or something.
You're amazing. You're doing awesome, Jen. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
picking up the slack of me dealing
No,
with the
that
craziness at my hotel room tonight.
and I'm making notes. You are in Minnesota up at
Yeah, that's where I'm
the
at.
Mayo Clinic, yes?
Yep, yep. I get to be the lab rat tomorrow on some experimental stuff, and then my
Oh,
normal appointments to the next day. So.
okay. All right.
I did want to just put in a fun, happy, upbeat note, tonight. So I just want you guys to know I've had my new car for 2 weeks. And let me tell you, this 360 camera that I was like crazy about a month ago telling you about, game changer, guys. I can back up like nobody's business, back up immediately through the line, between the lines, no big deal. Like I accidentally blow by my friends.
Oh,
That was
what
mid-sentence.
happened?
I
Oh
hope this
my
phone.
gosh. We just lost you.
We we lost her. I was about to go,
Miss
okay, I got
Kim.
up. What
Oh, she's
happened?
coming back. She's coming back. She's coming back. Here she. Are you back? Are you back, Miss
She's
Kim?
back.
We can, we can't. No, we can't hear you yet. No, say something.
Hello.
Yes, we got you. Okay, you blew by. Come on, start again. Start, yeah, with the new
I'm
car because it's very exciting. I've been
so
wanting to ask
sorry.
you.
If I crap out again with it, I'm gonna come back on just dial up with just my phone and not have the visual, and you guys just
Okay,
have to deal with it.
okay. Tell us
So
about the car.
I'm sorry. I will start over. My apologies. Technology is not my friend tonight with the phone and the Wi-Fi. I wanted to say I've had my car for 2 weeks, and having um, the 360 camera is a total game changer for me. It now I'm now able to back up, zero issues, and it takes like just a few seconds. All my stress and anxiety is gone, and just having technology fill in my deficits that I have from MS is the most beautiful thing in the world. Like I just feel
That's
so much freer with this vehicle because, and now I'm like, ooh, this feels kind of tight. Like you're going through, like you're behind a building and it feels real tight. If you're 5 miles per hour or less, you just flip on the camera. You get to look and you get to see, and you're just like, sweet. It's so revolutionary for me, and it's just I can't describe how exhilarating it is. It is kind of like in the same vein when I saw my ophthalmologist in February, and she's like, "Are you having problems to start reading because I'm that age?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, actually I am." And then she gives me baby bifocals, and every time I read, I don't squint anymore, and it's the most glorious thing ever. And so I'm just trying to say, if you need technology, am I back?
yes.
Okay.
That
Okay,
was
let me
every.
finish. Let me finish that, and then I'll hang up and do dial up. Um, my sum up is if technology makes your life better, go ahead and use it and don't feel bad about it and revel in it. Because my gosh, between my baby bifocal so I can read and this new car where I can back up, it's amazing. My life is so much easier.
That's fantastic.
Yay!
Congratulations.
But you didn't tell us the most important part. Do you like the color?
Oh, well, the color, Rick, is the same color as my other vehicle my 16-year-old vehicle I got rid of. So
Wow.
yes, I got to save the color and I got to save the license plates, which was great because they're not personalized license plates, but they're kind of personalized license plates with what they came in the mail. So I got to keep them. So I was excited.
But listen, it might be the same color, but it's different today than it was 16 years ago. It must look much
Much
bluer and
nicer.
much deeper and much
It's
prettier than
blue,
it did
right?
60.
Is it
It's
blue?
just
Yeah.
a couple, just teeny bit lighter, but hardly not. No, it's pretty much the same color as my other one. It's just it's eerie how similar the color was. Totally
Okay.
eerie. It was just
Okay.
meant to be. I don't know. I am just attracted to blue. Blue is my color. From my wedding ring to I just love blue. It's like the beautiful blue sky, the beautiful blue, lakes and oceans, and I just love blue. So
So, I've been looking at these Kias and I every time I see one, I think, oh, I wonder how Miss Kim's getting on with a 360-degree vision.
they have those in Kias too. My I talked to my aunt and uncle, and they have a Kia that has the 360 camera in there. They're more prevalent than you think. So, but if you don't feel as comfortable backing up, or you want to feel better, get it, do it,
So, didn't you get a
worth
Kia?
it.
What did you get?
You sound
I
like a
got a
drug
Nissan
dealer.
Rogue.
Oh, you
Nissan
got a
Rogue.
Nissan Rogue. Oh, sorry. I was
Well,
thinking it was a
Andrea,
Kia.
I was a legal drug. Oh, I was a multi-state legal drug dealer at some point. So
That's right.
I
I
have
always
a
tell that to
picture.
people back in the day. They're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, I always told them legal drug
Oh, a
dealer.
multi-state drug
That's
dealer. I
right.
got it.
Well, it used to be tri-state, and then it went to 5 states. But yeah, when they say I'm a tri-state legal drug dealer, it takes them a second to like figure out what you're saying. Like,
Took me a
drug
while.
grab? No.
Andrea, I have a picture for you of technology that greatly helped me. You might not be ready for it, but how do you carry your food in the kitchen? How do you get your food from the refrigerator onto whatever? I just took a picture of this for now. But that's what I did with one of my walkers. It's my
You
most
made a
brilliant
tray out
thing.
of it so you could move things around.
I just like I yeah, and it actually I stacked it on like stupid like plastic things and it was all ridiculous and I thought, well, I want to have something nice. And I happened to have those and I went shopping at the thrift store. I happen to have that basket and the top will just come right off. I've never put anything in it, but theoretically I could, but I just move things around. Yeah, like, my food, my tea. After I fell flat on my face one day a couple of years ago,
Uh-huh.
I'm like, how do you do that? And I knew it was a flat on the face because I had this food and I was really hungry and somebody who offered to take me for a walk calls up and doesn't come and she kept calling me and I was irritated and my plate of food I was so hungry and I had this food and I landed on the floor. I had a horrible black eye. I got a picture of that. And the food, the plate just slid out of my hand. So I didn't lose the food. It was a little messy, and that's how I knew I was. And I thought, well, why doesn't anybody talk to you about this? And then they sell like a stupid thing that's small and it costs $250, and it's just as low, like putting it on the seat. But my basket. I mean, this one just happens to be just it fit. And then I had this tray, and I was looking for a better tray, something really pretty. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, this is perfect. This is just perfect. So nobody has ever mentioned that to anybody.
I see a new career for you, Karen. I see you getting hold of walkers, turning them into trays, and selling them.
I know I thought
Who else is?
about it, but and I actually have a bunch of these baskets. I have like 5 of them, and I don't really need them. But I wouldn't sell them. I would just, you know, tell somebody about it. And I got the walkers for free. That particular walker, somebody was giving it away in Walnut Creek. I can't drive that far anymore. And his wife died, and he had this walker for free. And so I drove out there, and we were talking, and his wife, I said, I'm out in front, I can't do it. And his wife died, and he was telling me about, and I said, hey, what was her name? And he goes, Karen. And the brakes on this are not great for like going up and down. That was when I was still walking, going up and down hills. And I had Kim, not to be offensive, but blue is not my color. And it
That's
seemed like
fine. It's not everybody's thing.
all the walkers I got were blue. I gave them names like Betty Blue, Texas Blue Bonnet, Smoky Blue, and blue doesn't like work for me in my house. And then this one, it's burgundy, and it's just the right color burgundy. And it's like, it's those little things like that that make your life.
I
Hey, Karen.
want to come. Can I? Oh, go ahead, Marlo, please.
Karen, what color are your glasses?
Oh, that's funny, right? That's very funny. And not only that, I was
I was
surprised because I go
wondering
to
the
the
Very
same
nice,
shop.
thing,
very nice
Really
Marlo.
blue.
good. She's really well. Royal blue is good. My bathing suits
Oh, I
are.
love it.
But I got these before. I go to the shop because I don't know how you're gonna feel about that. And I said, and she took them away. I go, no, bring them back, bring them back. But I got these before Liz Cheney got hers, before Drew Carey got his, and I'm actually eligible to get new glasses. I still have to pay out of pocket. And I'm like, but these are.
All in style now. They're all the rage. You
But I
started a
had them. I
trend.
had them for
That's
more
right.
than two
You
years.
and Al, even before Al Roker.
Thank you for noticing.
Nice one, Marlo. Nice one. That's what we call in England hoisted by your own petard.
Mm,
Um, I want to come back to Jennifer because it bothered me. What Jennifer said touched me, especially about being invisible, and and I you know and I hear more and more people. The first thing is I hear more and more people referring to people who are in front of them or partners or their friends, not by their name, but by the pronoun. So somebody will be talking about their partner and they won't say Annie said this, they'll say she said that, and she is standing right there. I mean, the way I was raised, that was really a rude thing to do. I mean, if somebody's in your presence, you call them by their name. You don't say he or she, but people do it all the time now, and it seems like it's acceptable. But when you do that, it's like that person isn't there. They're not there. And I really feel it's bad. And I also feel very badly when there's somebody who does have a disability and they're ignored, and you ask the care partner, and you know like Jennifer says, what am I, chopped liver? you know it's
Yeah.
like,
That's
hello.
a Jewish expression.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
that happened to me at the synagogue. Not, I went to services too because it's the Jewish holidays, but they rent out a big church, and there was a big cross up on top, and they said, "Well, we looked into the expenses of covering up the cross, but we rather pay musicians than have to do that." But I went to this little small synagogue, and somebody who's like totally Mr. Can Do asked me, you want to go, whatever. If this guy is in front of me or in front of anyone, he's Mr. Helpful. So I said, no, I can get up the stairs, but I need someone to carry the walker. And then, just like you said, Rick, right in front of my walker. I don't even think she would have gotten that close to my face, but the walker was a barrier. And she says to him, maybe she wants to use the handicap ramp. And I said, maybe she doesn't want to. She's standing right here. And she gave me a dirty look and walked away. Maybe she maybe she doesn't want to have to walk that far to the
How
handicap.
dare you
It's like,
talk to her? You're handicapped.
say that again?
Sorry, it was sarcasm.
Oh, no, but what did you say? How,
I said, how
oh,
dare
how
you
I
talk
dare I
to
talk to
her?
her? Yeah.
Yeah, you're handicapped. How dare you talk directly to her?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
Rick's from the UK goes, that's rude. And it's like, well, I'm from New York. Like, takes a
Yeah.
lot for me to go, that was rude. But I'm noticing it's rude how I get, and I did notice too at services because I have my walker. But I made progress about several things because Jennifer is always saying, Jennifer is the other Jennifer. Jen's always saying, Karen, you got to advocate, and it's exhausting.
it
It's
is.
exhausting to do that. So I did advocate on behalf of myself. Last year it was a nightmare with the services. And
Hmm.
again, because they changed administration and the heart to heart committee, my friend calls it the heart to fart committee. Well, I'm done with them. I don't even have to talk to them anymore because I couldn't get a response about the parking pay. I don't want to hear about last year. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying this is how you get the parking pass. Well, maybe you should get it yourself. It's like, no, I'm told like it's so annoying. But somebody from the board happened to call me a few months ago, and he was willing to like absorb all my anger from last year. That was in May. And then this year he called, I said, no, I need this pass. And he advocated for me. And I said, I need an advocate because about 4 or 5 people said, sounds like you need an advocate, but I'm not volunteering that job. And then
Right.
this person last year who was the interim executive director, she, I said, well, Lisa, from now on, you're my advocate. I'm not you and Andrew. I'm not dealing with the heart to fart committee anymore. I'm not dealing with it. You're the ones I'm going to deal with. And yeah, so Andrew got like a whole seat. He was going to save a seat for me and maybe a friend, but they had 2 rows. And last year, I think it said, no, on Rosh Hashanah, because 10 days later there's another service, it said ADA. But then when I came, yesterday, the day before for Yom Kippur, it said, this spot is reserved for people with disabilities and you're welcome. I wish I took a picture of it because it was just a different, right? It's such a different feeling. It's like this is reserved for
Mhm.
people with disabilities and you're welcome. But then I thought, well, now I got to sit there by myself. But different people sat with me because there wasn't anybody else there. And it makes a difference to something that little makes a difference. And then they said they have an ADA bathroom. They don't have one in the church, but they have one outside somewhere else. So when you got to go. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to write to them. I mean, they did a much better job, and I'm also going to write to them. There's this ADA outside the building. And yesterday I asked, is it open? And the person in charge that they hired to run the event said, I don't know. It's like, that's not the correct answer because what if you have a colostomy? What if you have an ileostomy? There's like 3 stalls. It wasn't an ADA bathroom, but they had handrails so I can go in there. But everybody has to go at the same time when there's a little break or whatever. And maybe you don't want to be stinking up the bathroom, or maybe you don't want people waiting for you. Like, it needs to be available. But this person, Lisa, she said, we're getting better. We're getting better at it. And also at the pool and at the park, I had an official ADA complaint July 28th. And as far as I'm concerned, nothing happened. But I kind of backed off because there this, and there was some guy who was going to do something, and I wrote a scathing letter, but I have a good advisor at the pool, a friend, and he goes, well, and I said, I'll just tone it down. But essentially, you think this guy that was at your meeting is going to take care of anything. Well, he's the guy who told me I should park 6 stories up above him. He's the guy who said, why don't you just go to another pool? He's the guy who said X, Y, and Z, and they have a whole committee of ADA people. And so also the ramp was always full of debris, so that got cleaned up. And I said, that was nice to finally not have to drive through garbage just to get in here. And how about the one in the front? And there was a new ADA shower seat. You still can't get to it. They didn't take that part into consideration. How do you get across it? And then they told me they just the city ordered a lift, a chair, because there was a lift, which was nice. So they ordered a chair, and they said, We're going to have the chair in a month, so we're not going to make everybody switch lanes. And then also there's a parking lot. It's the city
So
lot, and they put in more ADA spots, and there's people that are always there without. And it's not the pool's job, but I think because I wrote that letter about, you think this guy's going to take care of it, so now they make the pool manager go over to the parking lot. And
that's a good thing. I mean, that's a real good thing. I have a lifelong buddy since birth, one of my two closest friends, and he's severely handicapped. And I shouldn't say handicapped.
you said not to use that word.
If I said handicapped to him, it's because I'm in this forum and you guys use it. But if I said it with him, I get the dirtiest look because it goes back. Handicap goes back to handing cap. That's where it comes from.
Oh.
So, which means like getting charity from holding your cap out. So you're not allowed, and you can't use disabled. But when people park in disabled spots, I mean, when I go down to row my boat, and there are people parking in disabled parking spaces, I go nuts. It just drives me crazy when people do that. It's just so wrong. Miss Kim, who else is on your list? Anybody else?
No, it
I
was just Karen.
I want to make a comment on the word, or tell a story, I should say, on the word handicap.
Yes.
So in 2000, this was pre MS, pre yuck. Anyway, I got into a very bad car accident. And so when I got out of the hospital, I had I had gotten I'd gone past the wheelchair to a walker, and I was walking on a cane. And to celebrate, my dad took me out to dinner, and I wanted to go to Konki, which is a Japanese steakhouse. And you get there at the mall, and we parked, at the mall, and there was a group of motorcycles that were parked several spaces down in the parking lot. And as we were getting out of the car, they were all starting to, and I think my dad got a little nervous or insecure around motorcycles or something, because they started coming, like, we're getting out, we're walking sort of slowly, and they're coming down the parking lot, and my dad goes out in the middle of the parking lot, he puts his hands up, he says, "Everybody stop, stop, make room. My daughter's coming, she's handicapped." And I have never been so mortified.
And it's a horrible story, but we're laughing.
Like, you should. It's a horrible story, but I look back at it and laugh. At the time, I was pretty mad at him.
Did they listen to your dad?
Oh, yes, wholeheartedly.
Oh,
Yes,
well,
It
that
was
wouldn't happen.
effective.
Yeah, it wouldn't
it
happen
was
here in
effective.
Oakland because it's so lawless. It's frightening. I mean, I think this is a secondary benefit of having this disease is I really hardly ever go out alone. I drag myself to Berkeley. I hadn't gone that far since my car accident in early July, and then the week after the car accident, I fell and dislocated my finger, and so I lost a lot of confidence. And I really wanted to go. I booked paratransit, and I just booked it in case I don't feel good. You have an hour before, and I said, no, no, I think I can do it, and I would just either be energized by little prayerful things to get me there. Um, But now I lost my train of thought because I had these. I was going to make a note, but my right hand's pretty much paralyzed, which is why I'll dictate a message to you, Rick, later. I can't. I can only like put in a couple of fingers, and then I was at Hannah's class again at AnCan, right? It was AnCan, and I did this picture and my river didn't come out good because I wasn't paying attention to the river. My head got stuck in the clouds. And I
That's
wasn't
so
paying attention
funny.
when she did it. So I was done. I was like, my river didn't come out right. And I have a friend who comes to the workshop too. And she goes, I love your clouds. And I'm like, well, that's good. I love my clouds. That's kind of good. But I haven't been able to write. It's like even a check sometimes. And if I'm not calm and I'm not relaxed, I can't write with my right hand that used to be, and I can't really write with my left hand. So it's for those of you who don't know, Yom Kippur is like a whole big. It's a 25-hour thing, and there was the services start in the morning. Thankfully, my morning is my favorite service, so I enjoyed it from just about where Kim is right now. Just in my bed, like really great. I could just enjoy it. And then I went later on, and then I was getting really tired. I don't fast, but people fast, but I kind of fast every day. But there was a workshop, and they had different things you can choose. So one was about poetry, and yeah, my advocate Lisa, she was leading it with someone else. So I said I'm gonna have to probably go out when it's time to write. But they just would like read poems and what are you seeing? And so I wrote like a couple of little words to myself on the piece of paper, and then we had kind of free write. I can't write in Hebrew with my left hand. I figured that part out. I could, and my right hand's so useless. But I was like, okay, that's a stretch. But all that art thing that I'd done with Hannah was, I went for OT with a neuro OT to learn how to write, and it was horrible. And when you have those horrible experiences, no, it is not just a word, Andrea. It is not just a freaking word. When you said it, I was like, I don't think she ever said that before. It's not a word. It's just that dismissal is enough to. If you want to go in, if you're going to hear denial, hear it from yourself. I'll be okay, but not from other people denying your reality. So,
I do
yeah,
struggle
so
with
I wrote
that.
down a couple of words, like how, they were like, how do you feel right now? And I wrote peaceful and happy because I was. And then I've never written this much with my left hand. So then I had this pen and weren't at a table. So I went over to this table where there was a blackboard and there was a pencil. And I learned yesterday that it's easier to write with a pencil. I didn't know
Interesting.
that. And so I wrote this whole thing mostly with my left hand, but I've never written this much.
Good job.
I've just never written that much, and I realized I didn't have to write a lot because I'm chatty. So usually I dictate stuff, and they're really long. But I mean, I just wrote. These are like it was in response to some words, but I just called it novelty. I love strangers. They encourage an open heart to embrace. As the paths I have walked are no longer accessible, I'm blessed with new ways to meet the new dawn.
That's nice.
Very nice.
Very
And it
nice.
keeps, it keeps
I,
happening. It keeps
Thank
happening.
you.
I just
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
I wanted to tell
so
you, Karen, if you're into pencils, these are the best pencils on the market. They're the Paper Mate mechanical pencils, but you don't
Um,
do it at the top. You move them on the bottom. They screw to lengthen them. They're the best pencils
but they're
ever.
too
And then
they're too narrow. I got this courtesy of AnCan. Wait, which one?
well, you can probably put a little holder on there. Like I put a little pad on there, but you can probably put a
Yeah, well, I
squishy
got
pad
this
on there.
from the AnCan art project,
Yeah, that
and
would probably fit on here.
then I got other ones, and then these are skinny. They don't really work. I really found the wooden pencil just. I was
But this you
surprised.
never have to sharpen. It's the
Well,
best,
that's
and
a
it don't
problem because
break.
it was in a classroom and it was sharpened. And then I was looking now because I was going to write some
use
notes.
a mechanical pencil. That's a fantastic. I've
Well,
got
but this
Yeah.
is too
that's all I
skinny.
use is mechanical pencils, but I
But they're
don't
not.
use the
It's
one with the
skinny and it
screw.
doesn't feel right. And this
Yeah.
is big. But I think I have the other as
So
Let me
well.
I
just
got
look
to
And
in.
tell
just
you,
just to
Before
fill
we
everyone
lose,
in, I did get a message from John, and he's in the hospital with the UTI again. He's
Oh,
hoping the
Another
antibiotics
UTI.
will start working, and he just was having a really hard time, and he couldn't get out of bed. And he said that I had his blessing to share that with everyone. So just Take care, drink lots of water. That's him and I back and forth, drink water, drink water. So,
And then you got to pee, and then you got to pee. Yesterday I got dehydrated. It was hot because there were a lot of people, and it was hot, and I was dehydrated. Like I had to drink like 60 ounces of water.
yeah. So
But
I
I'm
these
so
doors
sorry.
closed.
Who was
Yeah.
it yesterday? Who was it? Wasn't it last week that somebody came up with something that might prevent these UTIs? Was it in this group that we came up with
yeah.
a good
The
suggestion? What
vaginal
was that?
estrogen, the vaginal
Oh,
estrogen, but
Oh yeah,
that's not available for John.
And the D Manos. I told him about the D
D-Manos, yes.
that they
Demanos. Did
guys.
he use it? Did he?
I'm not sure I could reach out to him because I should. I'll send him a message. Or
I
when
don't,
this goes live, I'll send him a link to this and say, John, we talked about you. Hi, John, and take some D Manos.
we hope you feel better soon, John.
Yes.
And hey,
yes.
I wanna just give a shout out since Karen brought it up. I want to give a shout out to Hannah and her art class, her AnCan art class, because I joined that one too. And here's
Nice.
my
All
message.
right.
And
Good.
your
Now,
river looks better than mine.
are you sending Andrea? Are we sending pictures in so they can go in the art gallery?
I
I
That
have
think
for
you
a while, but I've run out of space on my phone. I need a new phone, so I can't
I
send.
don't know, because I'm gonna be tattling on the two of you, on Karen and Andrea,
well,
for
I'm gonna
pictures that should
tattle.
go in the gallery.
I'm gonna tattle on your employee. She's overwhelmed, doesn't have enough time to put these things on the gallery.
There's that.
Because for a
Okay.
while I've sent things.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm
Well,
so much
I'm
better
sure.
now. I want my
I
good
know.
stuff on there.
Yeah,
And
I'll talk to her, but we'll get there. But thank you for letting me know. I will tell you that she has a significant health issue that we're trying to get to the bottom of,
I
Alexa.
figured. Yeah.
So so I
Well,
don't
maybe
know, and
maybe you can get a volunteer.
yeah,
You have
I
tech
know.
able people.
I'm sure we can get a volunteer, but it's very hard wrestling tasks to get her to give them to volunteers, but I will
Mm.
work on it. Thank you for letting me know. But yeah, we she was actually in Houston today and for a procedure, and then they couldn't do the procedure, so we got to figure out a different way. And I will tell you a lovely story from this morning. Um, we're thinking about starting we would love to start a visual impaired group, a group for people who are visually impaired. It wouldn't be disease specific, but it would be for anybody who has a disease where their vision is impaired. And I met with a guy who may be able to help this happen. And I said to him, and he was saying about the need for mental health programming. And I said, we have a whole bunch of mental health programs, and we're starting some new ones. But we have an art class, although I said, I'm not sure how appropriate that is for visually impaired. And he stopped me. He said, an art class. He said, I wish we had a visually impaired art class. He said, we were going to do that. And then somebody said, how could you have that? And I said, well, I think that we could figure out a way to create a visually impaired art class.
Look,
So
I'm mobility impaired. How do I make this art with my left
that's right.
hand?
Yeah. Hannah would be able to do that. She would know
I
how to do
know.
that. She's
Yeah.
a
Wait till I
prof.
tell her.
She will
But
be
first of
great at
all,
that.
She's
yeah,
amazing. She is just
It's
amazing.
amazing.
she is. Yeah, she
Because
is. She is.
I don't make art unless I'm with her.
Me either.
I don't have a desire to do it, and it's changed my vision. It's changed my vision of I'm not visual, I'm auditory. What a surprise! But like I remember like pulling out of my driveway, and I went, "Look at the bark on that tree." And then I just sent a picture to a friend of mine because she's an artist that comes to the AnCan group. So I was like, "Look at the bark on that tree," or the clouds. I never looked at clouds from both sides
Gotta
now, but we had to
find
draw
it.
clouds. But I just never, and the secondary for me is because I'm using my left hand and my inner child, and I'm using my tablets. I don't have to worry about a mess, no muss, no fuss. And I can't remember how the tablet works, but I always do it. And now I can get through a class and finish. I used to have to sit another hour just to work on it. But I got this other metaphor from it in another. I just went, I refuse to not love my paintings. So I won't stop until they have something that make me feel good about it. And I would usually think of a song, sometimes just a name, but often I think of a song because I'm a singer. And then at some point, it was quite a few months ago, I went, I refuse to not love my painting. And here's this for you, Andrea. I refuse to not love my life.
Good
That's
one.
And it came from that.
Okay,
very
Miss Andrea, did you hear that?
I heard it.
Good. Did it register?
I mean, yeah, it registered, yes.
Good. That's it. No
But
more.
it's
That's
also came
it.
from doing the art where I never did art before. I never wanted to do art. I don't do art when there isn't class. I don't have a desire to do it, but in that thing. But I'm sure there's other things of yours to say. I refuse to not love looking out at the ocean. I refuse to not love my life. And it really is a direct metaphor from that painting. And
And
look, I wrote a poem with my hand didn't need the damn OT person to teach me how to write. Because somehow when I started doing the art, I noticed I was eating with my left hand, or I use my hands better. And
mhm,
you already look better.
thank you.
I know we
Yeah,
have
you
to
do.
end.
You
I
do.
Would you
do, you do.
believe at my neurology appointment, the little nurse or whoever she is that first takes you back in the room and starts, what are you on these meds and what are you here for? And, just sort of the intake girl. And then she leaves. She had the nerve, after I'm like, yeah, my legs are getting worse and I can't make it to the ocean. And I'm like, all these complaints. And she looks at me and but you look so good.
She said Karen's thing? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. She did. Wow. Did you
I
tell
thought
the
about
doctor
you
that?
guys. Huh?
Did you tell the doctor that?
Mm,
I would have.
And
Like,
was she
I
a
should
why
have.
nurse or an
have her?
MA? You called her a nurse. That's my bugaboo all the time. You call her a nurse. Was it a nurse or was it a medical assistant? Because I went off on the medical assistant the other day because they're not nurses and they're just
Yeah,
they
I
call
don't think she's a real nurse. So she
no, and
didn't
it's
do,
really different. It's really
yeah.
different. And I'm always, asking because someone called to change my appointment that I had to look at all the appointments as Jewish holidays. Can I come back and do a follow up? And there was all this nonsense. And then she calls the next day. Oh, well, Dr. Chung's not going to be there. We need to change the appointment. She could see you the next day. It's like, I have nothing better to do than the next day. Like I have to juggle everything. I think I'm going to have to do it, the appointment, on the same day that I do Tuesday, because I just have other things that I went through the trouble, and it's constant. It's constant. But I have one thing because I know we have to close, and I don't know if I can just share it afterwards because Karen and her lift still did not get her lift. Still did not do it. They got paid from the MS Society. They got paid from the MS Society arranged from somebody else. I don't have the lift. I called the guy on Saturday, but I think he was having the day off. But I thought, oh, Sunday, Monday, I'm going to have services. Then Tuesday, I'll be exhausted. And somebody woke me up this morning from that company. It's the only time I've ever received a call. It's calling, and I didn't answer the phone. I didn't even hear it ring, but I heard the message saying, are you still interested in the lift? It's like, you have the money. What do you mean? And so I didn't, and then I decided to just go with the nice energy from this holiday. And I went to the pool and I came home and I saw that the original guy called me, and I haven't listened to the message, and I want support because I don't know what I'm going to hear. Because I'm like, if this doesn't happen, if this doesn't happen, I want to witness. Like, I'm glad it's on recording. Like, I want to witness. I'm going to go to California Attorney General. I don't want to do it. I just want the lift, but I've been trying to do it since June.
Maybe he said I'm just calling to schedule when we put in the lift.
So can I play it? I
Play
just
it.
didn't want to do it alone.
Go
I
ahead.
wanted.
I wanted that support. Well, this is probably the first guy.
New message. Play it back. One new message. Hi, Karen. It's Kane with the wheelchair lift. I want to let you know we're coming to see you on Friday, and we have your list. So, yay! I'm happy. We'll see you Friday.
Yay.
Call me if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye.
See, all that anxiety. Yay!
Good news. You're getting it on Friday.
Well, I've had anxiety because it hasn't been happening, but I've been trusting it's going to happen. Well, they've told me that before, but I didn't want to listen to that message and aggravate myself. I came home from swimming and I wanted to get a ham and cheese croissant, Rick. So
Well, that's okay because you
and then
got forgiveness for what's going to happen yesterday. So including eating
yeah.
and drinking,
So I wanted to eat. I
So
wanted
you're
to
good for another year.
And
Okay.
that's another thing of like, how do you take care of yourself? Just something like that. I thought, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to be aggravated. I don't want to be, and maybe it'll come or maybe it won't, but because my contractor, and I have to talk to him in Spanish and I'm losing it because I don't talk to him. But I called him and he called me back and he said, I said, I thought maybe you were on vacation because he didn't call me back around Labor Day when they had the wrong lift. So he called and he said, no, but I'm going on vacation at the end of October. My 86-year-old mother's coming from Guatemala. We're going to, so then the anxiety was like, look, he said, no, you tell me when and I'll make arrangements. So I was like, if this doesn't get done.
Well,
Okay.
congratulations. And Rick put a note in the meeting. Our next meeting will be October 10th.
2 weeks.
So 2 weeks. And I have an early doctor's appointment. So I'm gonna say goodnight to you
Good
all.
night. No,
But
I'm going to.
I won't leave because I don't wanna close it out for everybody else. But
No, we're closing. We got to close out
all
because
right.
Kim's got a big day tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thursday's bigger.
Thursday,
Tomorrow's
well,
easy.
tomorrow she puts on a mouse ears and they give her cheese and they poke and they poke needles in her because she's a lab rat tomorrow, right?
I'm a
Aren't you
lab
the lab
rat.
rat tomorrow?
Yeah, the MRI tomorrow is investigational, and then 2 weeks later it's PET scans for investigation study. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Fun.
so we've all got to go, but it's great.
Then I do an MRI again the next day because they won't let me do the clinical MRI with the experimental MRI the same day.
Oh, okay.
Well, good
All
luck.
right. Well,
Good
thank
to
you,
see
everybody.
everybody.
Come on back on the 10th. Oh, and I put in there and make a note that the Medicare health insurance webinar is the 31st of October. And the broker.
Is that appropriate on Halloween?
Oh, wait a minute. I made a mistake. It's the 30th, not the 30th. Monday, October 30th.
Good call,
Mistake.
Andrea.
I'll put it
What
in
time?
again.
What time? Because that's our art class time. But
On what day?
no, I mean it's from the other on Monday. But what time is the webinar?
Oh, not it'll be at 5 o'clock. It'll be at 5 o'clock.
Is that Central Mountain?
Sorry, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Oh, I'm so glad that Rick knows Pacific.
Right.
I think we get a time change here soon.
November.
Soon.
November.
Beginning of November.
So yeah, the webinar we particularly didn't do it on Halloween. It's Monday, October 30th. Is the I put in TRICARE. I'm really it's not TRICARE.
It's government, Medicare. You meant Medicare.
No,
Rick,
I meant
we don't know. We got MS. We don't know
Yeah.
this.
oh yeah, you got MS. I meant the people that
Triage.
do the triage. I meant triage. Let me try. Let me see if I can get it right for the. This is what happens when you've been in meetings since 3 o'clock, or what
Oh,
would be
I thought you
6
were gonna
o'clock?
start saying that you had MS, Rick.
This is what happens when you have MS. We look great. No, you
Or
look
contagious,
fine.
Rick.
You're fine. You look great. You're
Okay,
fine.
I got it this time. I got it. Again, I got it. I'm putting it in for the third time. Okay.
And then you're going to close it out so we won't know.
Triage plus insurance broker. And this broker, by the way, he's actually my broker. He's really very good, and he can write in 13 different states, but he's also been very helpful to people in states that he cannot write for. He's really a good guy. So, all right, everybody. Good luck tomorrow, Miss Kim, and we'll see you on the 10th. Good night,
Okay,
everybody, and
Thank
feel
you.
good,
bye.
Andrea.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.